Welcome back to the County News Podcast. I'm Nicole Weissman.
And I'm Charlie Ban.
And today we're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, for our last podcast episode of the year.
I spoke to Shinica Thomas. She's the chair of the Wake County, North Carolina Board of Commissioners, the chair of NACo's Telecommunications and Technology Steering Committee, and a member of NACo's AI Exploratory Committee.
And this comes alongside a spotlight in this issue of County News that's focused on AI. Why did your team choose to focus on this issue?
It would be journalistic malpractice not to focus on AI these days and help a lot of our members understand what the technology entails and how they could use it to help their counties do their work better.
Totally agree. And later in this episode, we're going to have Seamus Dowdall here in the studio. He's NACo's Legislative Director for Telecommunications and Technology. He'll be expanding on some of the work of the AI Exploratory Committee and also sharing some insight into 2025 federal policy priorities around AI. So let's get right into it.
Commissioner Thomas, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and talk about your AI experience. So you were on NACo's AI Exploratory Committee last year. And members of the committee brought together a bunch of different backgrounds, roles, and perspective to the group. What was your technology background coming in, and what did you bring to the group?
So, interestingly enough, I consider myself to be tech adjacent, right? So I have a degree in political science and a master's degree in government, which is kind of technical, but not exactly, right? Not in a computer science type of way, but I've always had an interest in technology. My husband was actually in the Air Force and laid optic cable all across this country. And has worked for SAS teaching platform administration for over 17 years. And so our dinner conversation, our nighttime conversation is always centered around tech. And so that's really where I got an interest in technology. And I served with the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners on a president's initiative 2 years ago called Connecting Counties, which was about broadband access across the 100 counties here in North Carolina. So that's kind of my tech background. And when this opportunity presented itself, I absolutely wanted to be a part because artificial intelligence is where the workforce is moving to, where society is moving to. And so I wanted to be a part of that for county government.
What did you learn through the AI Exploratory Committee?
Oh, my goodness. So what I learned really is that, the work that we did with the Exploratory Committee is really helping people understand that they can use platforms that essentially would have them get training wheels, right? So training wheels to help them build their confidence so that counties weren't being left behind. I think of this artificial intelligence work similar to the Industrial Revolution. Mm-hmm. It's a technological revolution that we're experiencing in the world. I was going to say our country, but it's really all over the world. And people are going to be working differently. And so I think that there were lots of different perspectives brought from this work group, even though I think there were only 16 of us, right, from around the country. Mm-hmm. But there were CIOs, there were tech people, there were non-technical people, there were folks that were county administrators and folks that were elected. And I think having all of those different voices and lived experience with technology in general into this group was really beneficial.
I imagine the topic itself must have been a little bit intimidating, just given how new it is. Tell me about your learning process. How you got how you dipped yourself into the process.
I initially came into this process thinking about bias, right? And that's the voice that I kind of wanted to bring to the table is making sure that people understood that there was bias in the data. I've heard from a lot of county governments that they want to use it in a public safety way, right? They want to look at artificial intelligence for facial recognition, things like that. And so I kind of wanted to remind folks that just like humans with bias, the more information you had, a different decision could be made. And there was no way really to get totally clean data. And so I didn't think about that when I initially came to this conversation. I was like, well, let's just clean the data and make sure that we don't have bias in it. But I really learned that you are never going to have completely clean data. And what you have to do is just like a human person with bias, you have to learn. The more information you have as a person, you can make a different decision. And it's the same thing with the data. The more information that we put in it, then we can kind of dispel some of the bias that could be there. So when you ask different questions, you get different outputs. By diversifying the information that's in these apps or whatever it is, you diversify the perspectives that the models are using to make its decisions. So I think that that's something that I really learned and tried to help my colleagues really see and understand too.
What concerns about AI have you been able to put to rest as a result of all you've learned over the last year?
I think one of the things for me, really, people were afraid. They were like, it's going to take jobs, it's going to take over, all these things. I think we watch a little too much sci-fi, but honestly, I think of artificial intelligence and my team here at Wake County, we think of artificial intelligence really like an intern. You're not going to let an intern write up a report and then just send it to the CEO, right? You're going to go back and you're going to fact check it. You're going to go back and look at it for, being grammatically correct. You're going to look at it to make sure that the information is sound. And so it's really the same way, I think, with artificial intelligence. We want to be able to address misinformation and disinformation. And you really only do that when you check behind it, right? I think one of the other things is really thinking a lot about digital literacy, right? Teaching people, and digital literacy doesn't just mean learning how to use artificial intelligence or learning how to use tech devices, right? Computers, iPhones, tablets, whatever. But it's really about teaching people how to identify deepfakes, teaching people how to identify cyber scams, those kinds of things. When we talk about literacy, it's about learning, and not just learning how to use devices, but how to safely use devices and all the things a device can do. I think it's interesting because I don't think people would have really looked at a middle-aged Black woman as somebody they would ask about artificial intelligence, right? But when you dig a little deeper, you realize that having me in the conversation or someone like me in the conversation really does bring a value add that maybe you didn't consider before.
Just speaking about Wake County, you mentioned a second ago. Tell me about obviously it's part of the research triangle. Tell me about where you see Wake County possibly adopting AI and adapting it into county operations.
Yeah. So when it comes to Wake County and the Triangle region, we really do try to think of things in a regional way, right? We're not just working in a silo as the capital county or the fastest growing county in the country. We really are trying to be regional partners, and I am big on collaboration. It really is my leadership style, and it's how I've tried to lead this board. And so some of the things that we've tried to do is we've talked about like administrative work and documentation, right? Especially when it comes to things like child protective services. I want people to understand that they can use artificial intelligence in small ways, sort of like having training wheels, right? And then you learn to ride the bike. You take off the training wheels and you can go faster. And so we tried to think about it in an administrative way, maybe meeting notes for the board or meeting notes for our advisory boards, documentation for child protective services, and even our Register of Deeds. Our Register of Deeds recently did a project where they used artificial intelligence to help look at handwritten deeds from the 1800s, right? It was it's not readable, it's handwritten. And so the artificial intelligence platform that they used was able to decipher some of the cursive writing because the documents are really old. And so that's one of the ways that we really work to get staff comfortable and familiar with the process of just using artificial intelligence so that when we bring other tools, they'll be comfortable using it and at least have some exposure to it, right? So that's some of the stuff we're doing in Wake County.
But another one of the concerns people have, and you mentioned the revolution in work, whether or not this is going to mean a loss of jobs. And given that you've delved into this, what do you see in terms of the outlook for employment with AI?
I think when we think about employment, really we have to think about the fact that there are more tasks out there in the world than there is talent to do those tasks, right? And so I don't think it's necessarily taking jobs, but I think it's going to take jobs from people who don't know how to use artificial intelligence, right? And it's going to help us be able to do those tasks, but we have to do our part too. I think you have to know what the technology is so that you can continue to work in a different way, not necessarily that you won't be able to continue to work, right? I think because when I think about jobs and I think about people and the human aspect to work that we do, especially as county government, constituent services, right? It's really all about serving the citizenry. And so you have to have a level of empathy and sympathy, rational decision making. All of these things go into the work that we do. So artificial intelligence doesn't have that. Technology doesn't have that. It has data. it can process things faster. And that's great. And that's, I think, a compliment to what we already do as humans, having the empathy, the sympathy, the rational decision making that I already mentioned. So I don't think people should be afraid.
AI is one of the hallmarks of artificial intelligence is its ability to learn and adapt and change. So that means obviously most of what you learned last year is already on the way out. So how are you staying up to date on what AI has to offer and how the technology is changing?
Well, one of the things I do, honestly, is I read a lot. Like I said about being tech adjacent, not only do I have my husband, but I have, lots of other friends in the tech space. I try to listen to webinars, podcasts, and be part of conversations, right? I'll see something being offered by one of our state agencies, like the North Carolina Department of Information Technology, and I will attend or I will listen in. We are in the Research Triangle Park, so going over to SAS or talking to Apple or being able to really have conversations and collaborate and partner with folks who are doing the work. We had the opportunity as the work group to go to Silicon Valley and sit in at Salesforce and Google, Microsoft, and DocuSign. And so I still got on their listservs, and then I still have conversations with those folks. I still listen in when they're doing something new and innovative. If I have a question or I hear about something, I also, of course, use NACo's technology committee, which I chair, to be a platform to hear from other folks around the country. I think thought partnership is really important, especially in a fast-changing environment like this one.
Obviously you've had access to a lot of different resources as a result of your work through the committee. But what questions do you still have that you want to address about where this technology is going?
I think I want folks to think about data security more, especially when you think about county government. People are used to what they say, quote unquote, moving at the speed of government. Wake County, honestly, and a lot of the large urban counties in the country don't move at the traditional, quote unquote, speed of government. And so in doing that, I'd like people to at least think about having, just like you have a general counsel or just like you have a human resources in every area of your business, think about having information technology, making sure that IT is involved in every single department, right? Because I think that way you're going to, one, keep yourself safe, secure, and you're going to be able to keep up with the latest technology. But then folks will also feel comfortable using the technology and not feel like it's taking over for them. So for me, I really want people to think, and I want to be able to help people think about different ways of working and how to incorporate it, even in little ways in the work that we do every day. Like the example I gave about having a general counsel, I think everybody thinks about having legal security, right? Like having that as a sounding board when you're making decisions and when you're doing work, but do people think about having IT involved, especially in this age of deep fakes and cybersecurity scams, right? We want to make sure that the data that we use for constituents is safe. I mean, we have deeds, we have health and human service information, all of these things that's really confidential. And so I think it's important for people to think about that. And I'd like to learn more about how we can incorporate IT into every area of business, even in county government.
What did you learn from some of your other members on the Exploratory Committee who had filled different roles, either as IT directors or state association directors? We had a great mix of people with different backgrounds. But what did you learn from your colleagues?
I think that I learned that it's really difficult when you are not the CIO or a tech guru, honestly, to be a part of these conversations, right? And if we want our workforce to really be a part of the conversation and to learn and to try, then we have to speak plain English. And that's one of the things, especially with my colleagues. A lot of them were administrators who'd been using the technology. A lot of them were folks who were in the tech field or have been for many years. And so I learned a lot of jargon. I learned a lot of acronyms, but I also was able to bring my voice to the conversation and say, please don't use acronyms. Like I can't remember what they mean sometimes, and just speak plain English. It's the only way that you're going to get regular people all across every area of county government to be involved and to feel comfortable. And so let's just speak plain English. We want them to be comfortable using technology. And so we want them to be able to understand. But I also learned a lot about what people are doing in other areas, right? Like how they're using it for housing, how they're using it for permitting. And so there were a lot of use cases that I could bring back to Wake County and honestly to North Carolina, whether it was a rural county or an urban county. There are lots of opportunities, and I learned a lot of that from my colleagues because, again, we were a very diverse group of stakeholders, admins, electeds from rural counties, electeds from urban counties, age, gender. It was a very diverse group, and I'm really thankful to NACo for putting it together.
Excellent. Well, Commissioner, thank you for your time and sharing some of your experiences with us.
For sure, anytime.
That was Charlie's interview with Commissioner Shinica Thomas, chair of NACo's Telecommunications and Technology Policy Steering Committee and a member of the AI Exploratory Committee. We're joined in the studio now by Shinica Thomas, NACo's Legislative Director for Telecommunications and Technology and one of our staff liaisons to that AI Exploratory Committee this year. Shinica, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the AI Exploratory Committee and the work they did over the course of this year.
Of course. So last year, the Artificial Intelligence Exploratory Committee was formed with the goal of bringing a variety of county leaders together to discuss and explore the broad role that AI and generative AI will play for county governments. We brought together rural and urban leaders from the elected level down to the department head level, and we included state association partners as well to broadly explore how county operations and services may be transformed by this technology.
Who do they hear from in the course of their work?
Throughout the year of the committee, we heard from 4 different key corporate partners, Microsoft, CAI, Deloitte, and Tyler Technologies. We also brought together thought leaders ranging from academia to industry to government agency leaders, all speaking about the role that AI and generative AI will be bringing to government operations and even more broadly to society and the economy.
And it was great to hear Commissioner Thomas talk about the importance of communicating about this work in plain language, in ways that are accessible to all county leaders and to residents. What did the AI Exploratory Committee create based on all of those learnings, and how is it kind of designed to be accessible to broad audiences?
So towards the end of the committee's term, they put together what they call the AI County Compass. It was designed to be a foundational resource to help county leaders as well as employees kind of find their direction in the world of artificial intelligence. So whether you're learning some key terms for the first time or hoping to develop a county policy or develop ethical standards, whatever your priority may be, the AI County Compass was designed by the committee to be a flexible resource to help you learn more about this world of AI.
What are some of the federal policy priorities NACo is carrying forth in the new year, given the new administration and the new Congress?
So heading into the new year, there will certainly be a continued focus on areas such as intergovernmental collaboration on various use cases that AI will bring to government operations and services. And there are also priorities in things like national education building and workforce development. As Commissioner Thomas noted, this is an area where everyone will be impacted or touched by artificial intelligence in some way. So how do we kind of educate the workforce and raise awareness to even consumers about the role that AI will play in our technology-fueled economy?
And Seamus, you can keep your secrets if you want to, but knowing that you are kind of known around the office as a tech expert and an AI expert and known the same way to our members, will you tell us just one thing that you like to use AI to do to make your own job easier?
I will say I love for AI and generative AI specifically to help me put together draft ideas or concepts that I have for an article or a blog that I'm writing, or even just a fun icebreaker question that I'd like to bring up on a call or a meeting. So sometimes it's my creative brain doing some initial ideation for me, but I always go in and double check the work to make sure it's what I want it to be.
Sure, it's a great way to get the juices flowing, and it sounds a lot like what Commissioner Thomas was talking about with, it's not coming for your job, it's coming to support your job.
Absolutely. The human always stays in the loop, but technology such as AI can certainly be an augmenter in a lot of the things that we do.
Well, thanks for joining us, Seamus, and so excited to see where this work evolves in the year ahead.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
One of the many benefits NACo membership offers county officials is membership in the NACo Tech Exchange. I've got NACo's CIO Rita Reynolds here to tell me a little bit about what it's all about. Rita, what is the NACo Tech Exchange?
Well, thank you, Charlie, for asking. I appreciate the opportunity to share a bit about the County Tech Exchange. We call it the NACo Tech Exchange for county IT leaders, and it is a rich community of county IT professionals. We have over 1,200 individuals that are either CIOs, IT directors, security officers, and other technology leaders, and they share their experiences and their insights to address common challenges and innovate together. The topics that I see frequently on the discussion group that we have going on is related to cyber security, of course, artificial intelligence, virtual reality. There's emerging technologies, but also in the weeds conversations about technology policies that you may or may not have in place. And so in addition to the dialogue that happens through email, we also have an online library of technology policy templates, job descriptions, requests for proposals, samples like that, and even tech briefs, as we call them, on best practices and toolkits. Let me stop there. That's a quick overview.
From that description, it seems like this is best suited for NACo. It seems like this is best suited for county staff as opposed to elected officials.
Correct. We do have several of electric officials that are on the Tech Exchange because they have a technology background, and that adds a whole different flavor, which is welcomed with the discussions that take place. It's really the Tech Exchange is designed to hear about the needs and identify where NACo staff should be putting our efforts when it comes to education, as well as opportunities through our semi-annual event of the Technology Innovation Forum, which occurs as a pre-conference to the legislative conference and the annual conference.
We're talking about this mainly because our opportunity to talk about this comes from our focus on artificial intelligence in county news. This issue. What resources does the Tech Exchange offer for artificial intelligence and applications in county government?
That's a great question. We, of course, have the NACo AI Compass and Toolkit. That's available. There's a digital version, but then also a PDF version that is in the membership only of the Tech Exchange. Unlimited library, as I mentioned earlier. But we also have a collection of use cases and where counties are at as they start and continue this journey on implementing artificial intelligence and generative AI. Policy templates, of course, in that area as well. And guidelines, guardrails, new tech briefs are coming out on a regular basis. The most recent one will be on vendor management related to artificial intelligence.
Your position at NACo, being entirely focused on technology and applications in county government, what excites you most about the advent of artificial intelligence? Where do you see it having the most effect in county government operations?
There is so many opportunities in this area, and let me just start with saying this is the most revolutionary time to be in technology. Many of us that have been in the technology career for 35 years or more have said this supersedes even the advent of the internet. And where we see the major changes early on is with productivity efficiencies with your county staff, and that can cross over into virtually any department. But then there's also the benefits of implementing solutions for the constituents in your county that are more accurate, and they are more easily accessible and more interactive. And so we as county officials and county staff, of course, are here to serve the constituents and to better serve them and to hopefully eliminate redundancy while at the same time improving the service delivery.
Excellent. Well, Rita, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. And you can go to NACo.org and type in the search bar NACo Tech Exchange, and you will go right to that page where you can find out more information.
Thank you for joining us for the County News Podcast. We'll see you in 2025.